Hey folks, we're getting there. Hang on, cams. There we go. And we're getting there. Hang on, I gotta get some water. Here's my grill. Here's my lovely grill. I'm over here to get water. I'm just over here to get water. Yeah, I'm on my way there. I'm just getting water. I'm getting water there. It's Aquarius and I'm getting water. Some of you will understand the irony of me saying that. Hey guys, how's it going? Well, welcome to the show. Welcome to James True Live. I'm your host who doesn't believe in being humble because humble is this mess. Everyone walking around going, you know, you should really just suck it up and take one for the team, man. It's so humanitarian to sacrifice your immune system. We don't have a light. I'll be right back. I'm gonna get a light. Could you guys hear me? I bet. I can. Hang on. Came over here. The light goes 1, 2, bam. There. 3. Okay. Welcome again to a beautiful, beautiful day. Hope you guys are enjoying. I did. I did. That's annoying. That's really annoying. God, am I ever gonna get started here? I had a great Thanksgiving. I hope you did too. Me and my aunt went to Waffle House. It was fun. My aunt is the black sheep in the family, and she's taught me well. We both perfected our black sheepness, and nothing has brought out more cohesion and camaraderie among black sheep than COVID. Have you guys noticed that? See you guys there. Looks like everything's good. Good. Yeah, nothing brings black sheep together like good old COVID. Seriously, it's one of the best. It's one of the. Melanie, you think that I'm actually upset, and I can read your mind so freaking well that the reason why you think I'm upset is because of that email from the guy that signed up as a witness. But I'm not upset by that at all. This is what I've been explaining. That's part of what all we have to do. So, why am I having a private one-way conversation with Melanie during the embrace the black sheep in your tribe. You will find that they will be so much more open to you than they've ever been before. That the black sheep itself used to be and now they are going to be forging a new Aquarius. We have been brought up to fear the wolf outside the fence. We've been brought up like sheep to say that wolf's bad and that wolf, and James is bad because he said the word penis last week, or bad because he decided to actually just translate the word Lucifer from Greek. He's bad, and that the wolves that you see outside the fence, you're never gonna believe this, but the wolves you see outside the fence, they're sheep. They're sheep with tans. With tans that sharpen their teeth on the world itself. And now they've left the farm, and the farmer uses these liberated sheep, the black sheep, that's why they look like wolves, that we've liberated these sheep, and that the rancher uses them to keep the other sheep in by calling them wolves. Those sovereign sheep, that's a wolf. And the truth of the matter is that that's been happening the whole time. That's the system that we have. That's the system that we've had the whole time. We've never had a different system. This is not a thing where things have been going so great and then all of a sudden they got just a little wonky because we voted for the wrong politician. That's what someone with gonorrhea says after he got off a boat in like 16th century Spain. He's like, just need to go double down and get some more gonorrhea, and that'll fix the first gonorrhea. And that's where we are now. But audio pops out, James. Yeah. Well, we can put this off. There's going to be some issues sometimes. Is buffering okay? Let me know if we should stop the show. I'm going to keep going though, but just understand. I'm sorry about the buffering. I'm just gonna keep going. But Melanie will tell me, hey man, stop the show. I'm all hardwired in just for what it's worth. It's also good to see you, Suze. So hopefully you guys can hear me because I want to talk about the big church. I was watching this thing on Aztec sacrifice earlier this morning, and the historian was explaining, it's like, well, it's really hard to really gather the full intricacies of what actually caused this to happen and why so many people are willing to do such a horrible thing. But you have to understand that back then there was just a lot of religious fervor around, and that people were just randomly pulling people out of the crowd and saying, you there, you're the one that needs to be sacrificed. That Quetzalcoatl himself, although he doesn't necessarily want you to be sacrificed, that we must appease the gods in order to get a new sun. And an entire economy, an entire political structure was built around the idea of there being people in the village that needed to die in order for the state to survive. And as this guy's explaining how the sources are all questionable, how it's really hard to even piece this together, he does admit that definitely the sacrifices were happening, but that mostly what we have is the Spanish story of that, right? But we know how that happens. We know how that happens because it's happening right now. Not only do we know that happens, it's happening right now, but if we actually just use a little bit of discernment, we see that throughout history it's happening literally in every field we have. And our compartmentalization is what makes us blind to this. I learned this in the Navy. I learned really quick in the Navy that no one actually knows what's happening on the ship. No one. I have a really good idea of what's happening in the torpedo bay because that's where my office was. I have a really good idea of the sonar equipment because that was my job. I have a really good idea of the mess hall because I visit there 3 times a day. But the actual workings of the entire ship in its entirety are impossible to see. Not even the captain can see them because the captain is seeing basically bureaucratic jargon that's been spoon-fed to him to be a certain way. And most of the manipulation that's happening in that data, the exact same way we're burning every single the Aztec sacrifice. The only 3 codexes we have for the most mass murder ever to take place in a systemic system burned. The history of why that happened and how it happened was burned. And we move on and we dismiss what's happening now as saying there's no way that it could ever happen that way as it did before. But that is what's happened. I can't say that Corona is an exception. 90,000 right now that we buried. We did that. We buried it right now. I think it's at least 2 a day, probably more because you're not going to know them all. Probably 2 a day incidents on the average of a child stepping on one of those landmines right now. And I don't even know if that's true. I'm just telling you what the stats say. But just like the captain of the ship doesn't actually know the entire shape of the ship, so too do you not know the entire shape of your government and what it does, which is why it's so wrong to keep consenting. It's why wrong to say, well, why would I support a system that I can't even physically see? And we start to understand that our intentions is what we use to justify some of the most evil behavior you could possibly imagine, such as we're going to have to rip your heart out. Now, these rituals were dismissed as religious zealotry. And we even have the same dismissal now about Christianity, when it's like, well, that person believes that you can ask Jesus into your heart, and that when you do, that you're miraculously saved, and now you won't burn in hell for eternal fire. That someone says that, and they make fun of that, and then they turn right around and say, hi, I'm from the CDC. We'd like to ask that you let a corporation, Pfizer, into your heart. That we'd like you to inject our Lord and Savior directly into your heart right now, and that if you do, you will receive everlasting life. If you do not, you will burn in hell. But the stakes were turned, because with Christianity, the idea is, well, I'm sorry, but you're going to burn in hell if you don't get a vaccine. I mean, if you don't get Jesus. But now they turn the tables to say, well, if you don't accept Jesus and if you don't accept Pfizer into your heart, I'm going to burn in hell. It's the exact same dynamic. We are living in this world where this is happening every day, but we're obfuscating our way through it. Be okay. And that's what the Aztecs did. The smell of so strong in the streets that they say that's actually why so many people stopped. That they invented a deity who suddenly had a disfavor for that. And that you're watching the archetypal line between the two as they argue against their germ theory. Their germ theory is that if you do not give your heart to the corporation, to this state, that the literal fucking sun will not come. And when you look at the sacrifice victim, the victim himself didn't really have such a good time, but his family was well rewarded. His family was venerated. That the entire time while that person is knowing he's going to be sacrificed, there's not a damn thing he can do or say to anyone. In fact, villagers are coming up to that guy who's being sacrificed. Like, hey, Carl, I know you're being sacrificed tomorrow. Look, realize you're having a shitty time and your entire life's over and everything else is going to change. But hey, if you could just do me a favor and pray for my son, because he got a bone in his nose and it was a little bit bigger. He's got an infection. I want him to be okay. I realize you're dying, but hey, since you're going to die, if you could go ahead and pray for my son during the time, he'll be okay. That was standard fare. That the systemic state abandonment of the self was always crucial to establishing a monarchy. In fact, if you were to really look at the definition of theism itself, you will see that the reason you have one God is because it's the only way you can have one state. It's the only way. That the conglomerates that's being forced on someone, if everyone worships the same God, is that we all have something in common. At the time when animism was alive, when your imagination dictated your divinity, your very basis for religion itself, and those times are gone because we have a state, and the state thrives by pretending that it's not a religion. That throughout history, every single state has always succeeded by pretending to not be a religion. And that if you really, really look at what a corporation is, you're looking at a church. That every single corporation that has ever been in existence is a church. They're paying their parishioners 40, 60 hours a week to worship there. And that all those parishioners have maximum output by believing in what that corporation says. Whether that be NASA, whether that be the CDC, whether that be a Republican or a Democrat, whether that be working for Pfizer. You are infallible because you have a pursuit of religious purity, scientific method. Same thing. That in your pursuit, in your crusade, right, to help people, you're going to shove a sword into a lot of them who don't get it. And that sword is very rude, so we're going to make it small. We're going to take that sword, we're going to cut it down to a dagger. Now we're stabby stabby. It still feels impersonal. We're going to go with an arrow. Oh, that's much better. Hey, let's make it a bullet and then no one can see it. Hey, let's make it shrapnel out of the end of a needle. That the exact same cleansing ceremony is being underplayed, has been played on you over and over and over and over again because we, all of us, collectively have a fetish for being clean. It's a fetish for being clean. And that we hunt out dirt amongst each other in our Lysol church and we disinfect. Disinfect. Now, you can disinfect with money. You can disinfect with riches. You can disinfect with wives. You can disinfect with drugs. You can disinfect with realizations, with psychology. You can disinfect by going to another country and shooting people, burning down their oil fields, and guarding their poppies, and feel completely justified the moment an innocent woman who's trying to save her child comes out and cheers you, says, "Oh, G.I. Joe, thank you for saving me." And you believe that shit as the town hall's burning. Because all you want is salvation. And that woman who will lie to you and tell you that she loves what you did because she just wants to live is doing whatever she can to survive, and that you will take that and you will use it to justify your crusade. 80,000 skulls attached on the same altar. Every one of them had their heart ripped out. Some of the people that were sacrificed would fight back. Most of them, keep in mind that you're surrounded by people that believe that if you were to not be sacrificed, that you would be tainted. So even if you think you could survive the sacrifice, you actually haven't. You're now a walking leper, and there's nowhere you can go. You can't. It would be as if you were unvaccinated. It would be like that. The only reason why we have these stories is because it's as close to the truth as we can see. That we can't get closer to the truth than that. That's as close as we can find. That we need these things like mythology. We need these things like crazy zealots, those crazy zealots, to allow us to sit in the same room with the truth because we know it's there. We have to find a way to make it sit. One big church, and this spreads the power across every industry, every single one. That if you look at the foundation of every single industry, you will find that none of them are based on truth. That not just with churches, and all of us could say, well, we knew that about church, it's all based on faith, which is totally fine. Corporations are the same thing. That your belief in science is the same thing. And that some of us will slowly have enough calories to admit that the industry that we were in is wrought with fraud. But we're not able to make that leap and say, wait a minute, could every system ever be wrought with fraud? And if you start to look, you're like, holy shit, there's quite a lot, James. There are quite a lot of systems that are wrought with fraud. Military is wrought with fraud. Politics is wrought with fraud. We know the financial markets are wrought with fraud. Our dollar is wrought with fraud. Our medicine is wrought with fraud. $700 bag of saline, anyone? Did you guys just see that bird? A bird just flew right, anyway. Environmentalism is wrought with fraud. Science is wrought with fraud. Space program is wrought with fraud. So, what if the fraud isn't an accident? Oh yeah, James, there's a bunch of evil people. No, stop. Shut the evil shit off for a sec. Just stop. What if it's something else? What if we were to discover that the truth of every single industry is that, and the reason why we see fraud everywhere is not because it's fraud, which it is, but it's because we expect those industries to be built on truth, that we expect those industries to be built on some sort of solid foundation. And since we don't, we only have the context to call that fraud. So we do. So we call it fraud. Well, it's fraud. It's built on fraud. But you living in a world where you think there's fraud all the time is going to burn you calories. You're not going to get up to green belt. You're not going to be able to withhold it because you're going to be in yellow and red belt. You're going to be mad or fearful of all that fraud. And I need you to look past it. I need you to see the reason why you keep seeing fraud is not because they're fraud. The reason why you keep seeing fraud is because you were expecting those industries, those churches to be based on something true. And they don't have to be, nor will they be, nor have they ever been that way. That historically it would be impossible to even found a church on something that was true. Because the moment something more salacious showed up around the corner, that church loses its congregation. Take this back to the corporation. This corporation loses its parishioners, its employees, because it was trying to build something off truth versus building something off utility. And we are utilitarians, not truthers. That all of humanity is a utilitarian, not a truther. This means that they measure truth by what works. And what works is never always the best idea. It's always the most efficient. It's always the first one that they came to. That the seagulls that grabbed the hot dogs have never once discerned and said, this hot dog has mustard. Fuck you. I'm going to wait for one with ketchup. That never happens because that's not how humanity works. So, stop thinking about it as fraud and look at all these industries as giant churches with beliefs. And you start to understand that no one's committing fraud. Everyone is simply practicing their religion. And the best way to practice your religion is to believe as hard as you can. And these people have gotten so good at believing that they've learned how to pretend the moment they wake up. And that they do not shut off that pretending until they go to bed at night, which is why so many of them need alcohol. Look around and tell me, how would it ever be normal for everyone to drink alcohol? Even in Rome, alcohol was not the drug of choice. No, it was like mandrake. It was like psychotropic liquid cannabis. That we have endocannabinoid systems built into us, receptors built into our very neurological chain all throughout our body. But we still have this religion that alcohol, asphyxiation, is how you relax. Why is asphyxiation a form of relaxing? That we don't go to oxygen bars, we literally go to choke tents. That's how we relax. We have breweries that are basically choke tents. And that runs everything. Why? Because we're expecting it to be true, we're pretending it to be true, and it's not. It's just not. So, a lot of calories that you're leaving on the table. You can keep those calories and use them to process more. You can use them to simulate others more, compassionate others more, and see just how desperate someone will become when you start to remind them that maybe they're working in a church. That maybe their entire thing that they're doing is religion, not science. This is a new way of looking at it. And it'll save you a lot of calories and time. And it comes back to what we talk about no one has to be wrong here. It would be like going up to a Methodist and saying, "You're wrong. You're wrong. You're wrong." He's like, "But I'm just a Methodist. I don't even believe this shit. I'm just a Methodist." You start to understand why someone's doing what they're doing. And that the idea of believing that what they have, their church, is true is just no different than the mega church that says, we have an AV sound system. We have Dolby surround sound in our mega church. That would lead you to believe that this church has God. That this church has more God than anyone else. Why? Because look at the tech. Look at the parking lot. Look at how long it takes you to walk around the building. Clearly, this must be the correct church. This must be the Mecca. And if you look back in history, been surrounded by these constant Hajjs to these new religious centers that we call things like tanning beds. Yeah, that's how old I am. Tanning beds. All of these things that we have in the world, these fads, these things that come up, are these same churches competing that belief itself has finally been tokenized, and that everybody has FOMO. Everybody is freaking out because they feel like they're missing out on the profits of a certain church. Whether it be vaccines, government, Zionism, right? All of it. The Affordable Care Act. Now, I don't know what's going to happen because I think that most of this will be dictated by how much more is necessary to go. That there is a Mardi Gras float coming through the street, and they change every now and then. And right now, the Mardi Gras float is Maxwell, Gisela. God, so many Wayne Sexton references in those names. But the whole Gisela thing is a Mardi Gras float. And the Corona is a Mardi Gras float. And these things are meant to go as slow as possible because they're trying as best as they can to dump as many beads as they can to get you to show them your titties. That if they show you enough slow floats going by slow enough, that you will stop working, you will stop your own worship, and you will simply watch as these floats go by. And it's kind of mesmerizing because it's so deliberate and slow that it just kind of eclipses everything else that you're doing in your life. And you keep noticing the novelty and the mundanity of things that mean absolutely nothing. And just when you're about to leave and say, this is the stupidest thing I ever heard, a bunny foo-foo comes by. And you're like, but I was just leaving. And boom, someone bops Bunny Foo-Foo on the head. And now Bunny Foo-Foo's dead and you can't go. You want to know if Bunny Foo-Foo's okay. And finally enough people forget about Bunny Foo-Foo and they start to leave, and another part of grog, another float comes by. There's more beads. There's more boobies. There's more feathered hats. There's more dancing. And everybody is drunk. Everybody is asphyxiated because they all know this is just here for us to have a good time. And that no one in that parade actually believes, well, there might be one or two, that float is real. And if you do that long enough, epigenetically, your kids will simply think it's real. It won't take long. That once your grandparents believe in the float, I was around when Bunny Foo-Foo got bopped on the head. Boy, I tell you. That once it's ingrained in 2 generations, right, your dip and your trough, epigenetic sine wave, grandparent, parent, grandparent, parent, grandparent, parent, right? That once you get 2 of those believing, you're done. You're set. And it would require nothing but sheer uncomfortable pain, black sheepishness, to even escape something like that. That you as the black sheep were only able to be a black sheep by collecting how painful it was. I swear. That instead of asphyxiating yourself, the more painful you saw this parade, the more you collected that feeling and you stored it in your fur and it turned your ass black. You were so upset by the truth of all this that your white, sheepish ass turned black. It turned so black that you had to leave town, and now everyone's calling you a wolf. Because you are. And you don't want to be a sheep. You know that now. You don't want to be there. Thank you, Clutch. It's an awesome perspective because you were surrounded by people that are like, no, but it's evil. No, you don't understand. It's evil. You don't understand, though, man. It's evil. What he's talking about is evil. And no, you can't just dismiss that. You're surrounded by that. And you're surrounded by that because those people cannot tread water. That they're in the deep end and they haven't learned to float yet. You know how to float. You know how to float that you can actually assimilate your calories and realize these people aren't evil. They're simply so crude and ridiculous that they pee in the very water that they drink. And that what you're looking at is retards, not evil. Imagine going up to a retard saying, "You're fucking evil." That's what we do to each other by buying this shit. This whole idea that there's a one or two. We're going to hunt them down, then all of us will be fine. You know, I don't know if you guys even caught that analogy the other day, but seriously, if you really look at Edison, why the fuck isn't there a Wikipedia entry that says, unknown man, inventor, was burned and electrocuted on a platform in Chicago today when he tried to electrocute an elephant with his new invention? That entry is not in Wikipedia. No, in Wikipedia is an entry that says Edison, the world's most famous, most successful inventor ever, made his fame the day he electrocuted an elephant in front of people in Chicago, and they all fucking watched. Every one of them just fucking watched. And no wonder those people that watch an elephant being electrocuted want to insist that there's evil outside the world. Look at what the fuck they just let happen. That we have this notion that inaction means good, and that action means there's a 50-50 chance you could be committing evil. But if you do nothing, there's nothing bad about that at all. That's how fucking retarded we are. And this shit in the comments, the shit that I get where it's like, James, you're clearly evil because you said the word penis. Go fuck yourself. Yeah, I cuss a lot. You fucking kidding me? Look around the world. Do you really think that the problem that we're facing right now is that I made a book code for 23% off that has the word penis? That you can go on JTrue right now and type the word penis into my form and get 23% off my books? That's the thing that's causing the earth to be bad? That this entire place is evil because I'm using curse words? Why the fuck are you not cursing? Why the fuck are you not cursing? Why are you holding your shit so together that you're going to come on here like a fucking prude and tell everybody how great you are because you're so above porn? All I said was, I don't know why everyone has to shit on porn so much. The human body is a goddamn rubber band. If you think it's not meant to stretch and collapse and stretch and collapse, you're retarded. And if you want to sit there and pretend that you have an objective idea of what you want to now call this made-up word called unnatural, by the way. Well, porn's unnatural. How the fuck do you know? Seriously, how the fuck do you know? How can something even be unnatural if it's made by man? That the truth is that man will defile himself sometimes. Why? Because he's in love with victimhood. And sometimes he wants to feel shame and defile himself. Why? Because it lowers his standard, which allows him to take a breath. So is porn evil? I don't know. Is causing someone to have a deep breath evil? Is allowing someone to express their own situation, to create their own bubble of shames, where they can do something that they're so ashamed of they will never share it with anyone else, for no other reason than to build an autonomous bubble around themselves so they can fucking think. Why the fuck is that evil? All of us have this notion inside that I will feel better, magically better, and all it takes is for me to point at something else and say that is the evil in the world. And it's the evilest thing I've ever seen people do, and they double, triple, quadruple down on it every fucking time. I wish that I didn't cuss all the time, but I do. That's not every day. Sometimes I'm wearing a tie. Some days I'm on top of it. Some days I'm not. And that's what life is. That's what this place does to you. Are you going to show up or are you not going to show up? And I want you to judge me I'm here to be judged. Tell me how disappointed you are in my use of language, or how disappointed you are because I had the nerve to fucking use a body part as a discount code. What is so wrong with your genitals? I'll tell you what's wrong. You're under the impression evil exists, and you're under the impression if someone sees your genitals that the evil's going to get out, which is you exercising your own bullshit, your own abandonment, your own Aztec fucking sacrifice, as you say nothing during this entire year, except for how offended you are that James used the word penis. Fuck you. Look at what's happening around us right now. The black sheep were right. And you can call them wolves as much as you want, but wolves are beautiful. Sabian is the spirit of the forest, and I will take one wolf in my house any day of the week, as hungry as he wants, anytime, over 10 fucking white sheep that are prudes, because they will rob you while you fucking sleep. And they will tell you that they didn't mean it and it wasn't their intention, and therefore everything's good. The wolf will look at you and say, I was fucking hungry and I fucking ate it. And now you understand the wolf. You don't trust the wolf, you understand it. You compassionate that wolf because you understand it. You cannot understand sheep because sheep do not have a person, a self to be understood. They are dangerous because they're empty. And that same quest for empty is what people insist. Well, I won't do any evil as long as I just pay my taxes, as long as I just thank everybody for their service, as long as I just inject every fucking thing any church tells me I need to inject, because if I don't, they will go to hell. That is what the bad guy would look like in this world. It would look like that. I don't even have the numbers to worry about cussing. So don't give me that shit. Don't. I could have had a stellar career. Melanie and I talk about this all the time. I could have a stellar career telling you all, like Amazing Polly, about how, QAnon, we're going to get them, and, Ghislaine Maxwell's the evil one, but don't worry, none of this is about Zion. None of this is about, us having to change our behavior. It's not like our own Zionism itself causes us to enter into these things, and Mossad itself is literally laying its eggs into our back. No. Because I want to feel good. And that kind of shit is everywhere. I could have so many more that I could worry about what I say, I could dress nice, all that stuff. I could start to tell you the news. You would start to think, wow, boy, he's really got his shit together. I bet you that news is true. And it's not. This is the Church of James True Live. And no, you don't. Actually, you do worship me, because all of us are worshiping each other. We worship each other with our witness. And if that's something else going to turn you off, well, I'm sorry you can't thumbs down. I wish you could. Because I want you to thumbs down. I want you to be negative about stuff. I want you to stop not fucking saying anything. If you think I'm the sicko because I say you're worshiping, then fine. Make me pay for it. Make me pay for it. But there are people out there that are listening and hear me say that if you're watching me, you're worshiping me. They hear me say that and go, holy fuck. Everyone I watch, I worship. God damn. Why didn't I think of that? And you start to reevaluate. It's the same thing with evil. Stop calling everybody fucking evil. You're such a retard for doing that. You don't even know. You don't even know what we do. How much we do this. That all these churches are competing for your desperate witness, and you've given your witness to most of them. You don't even know it. Your life force, your actual plasma has been dedicated to the idea that shaving the back of your fucking neck and making sure that there's no hair that sticks above your fucking collar, and then taking your arm and like sticking it back and then shaving just the hair that's there, you think that's fucking normal. And you've been doing that because of a church of belief you had a long time ago. We have all these churches of belief. All of them. This idea that thin women are sexy. Are you fucking kidding? Rubenesque, baby. Rubenesque. Yeah. Anyway, is there any questions? Does anybody have anything they want to ask? James have wolf at their skin, wolf fat, a protective layer. There you go. Prefer to be referred to as lioness, says Lassie. No problem with this. This system isn't due to small group ego, but collective consciousness. Yes. Yes, it's collective consciousness. Very good. You've earned your lioness status, Lassie. Israel recent Omega drill is interesting. Don't know what that is. Israel, yeah. Well, we're all self-genociding, Barfling, aren't we? We're Aztec sacrificing, aren't we? Do you realize that when you were chosen for the Aztec pyramid, you're at the bottom of the pyramid. The literal blood is just caked on all the steps, like thick coagulated blood. You could barely walk up. The steps are ridiculously steep. And as you're walking, you're elevating. The first time you've been elevated on this platform. And that everyone has their eyes on you. For the very first time, you are being worshipped by that entire city. And all you have to do is die. And in the writing of Cortez, what he saw was that some of these people were kicking and screaming, saying, I don't want to die, I don't want to die. And others went out in a blaze of glory. They were people that looked around and saw what was happening to them and decided that sanctity was more important. And you're looking at the ritual of Jesus on mass scale. You're looking at a mass crucifixion, a mass death. And the only way Jesus was able to alchemize what was happening was to stop saying everybody was evil and to look at the entire process, the entire transmutation of what was happening. And Jesus told you, I am the bright morning star. Jesus told you, I came in on the belly of a fish to enter into this town to be persecuted. He told you that. And that the same Aztecs that were chosen, as they're walking up the pyramid, they would start to feel the pure raw power of what was happening. And that they would embody the spirit of Quetzalcoatl itself and take over the stage. And for those few moments, they were the apex of the universe. And that they wanted to die at that point. And you see this on the battlefield. That there comes a point where someone finally has had enough and they truly start living. And the only time that we ever find ourselves in a position where we truly can live is when we're on the bed facing death itself. Instead of it being on top of a rock pyramid with non-OSHA approved stairs, no handrail, it's in a hospital, beep, with the sound, beep, of respirators, beep, of Darth Vader, slowly, beep, playing you Good Morning America, beep, until you fucking give up. Now you tell me which is more cruel. Because if your heart is being ripped out from your rib cage, if your sternum is cracked so it can be split open, if your skin is being flailed and distributed to the villagers so all the rich people can eat pieces of your meat, that's more fucking honest than this bullshit we're buying right now. We're sacrificing 8-year-olds because we want them to ask a corporation into their heart like Jesus. And they're doing it, and they're getting myocarditis. The corazon. That this entire ritual has never ended. You're just simply looking at cycles. Cycles that raise and drop over and over again. But you want someone to be evil, you're going to have to find that person, or that person typed the word penis, so therefore they're the one that's fucked. You're already a goddamn wolf. I'm just asking you to act like it. You're sitting there trying to curl your hair, make it look sheepish, right? You're bleaching your hair and you're curling it with that Jerry curl iron, right? It's like, oh my God. Gotta figure, everyone's got to think I'm a sheep here. Everybody. And it's the sheep that are looking to sacrifice. It's the sheep that look at the dude that's going on the pyramid. It's like, hey, before you go die, can you put in a prayer for my son? You saw that same thing with that video of that. Oh God, it's so gross. It's that it's like Jewish guy and a Palestine family, and the Palestinian family, this Jewish guy shows up and goes, "Hey, this is my house now." And the Palestinian's like, "What the fuck are you talking about?" He's like, "Hey, it's the occupation. What are you gonna do?" And they're like, "Get the fuck out of our house, Tom. You're our neighbor." He's like, "Hey, forget about it. What am I gonna do? Hey, it's the law. This is what the law says. I can't help it if I'm gonna take your house. I'm just gonna take it. That's all. Why are you blaming me? Why are you blaming me as I throw all your shit away? Why are you upset at me as I'm throwing your kid out of his bedroom? Hey, don't be upset at me. I'm just a sheep with curly hair." And you see how fucking profitable it is to even play this game, to pretend like this church is real, because of how much fucking calories and how hard it is to go out in the woods for day one on that first night and go, "Holy fuck, I'm a sheep and I'm sleeping alone in the woods." And you don't think that that's what wolves are every day of their life? Every fucking day, the wolf gets up and knows who he is. And he knows that what he does today will be completely responsible for his success or his failure. And neither of those things will be good, evil, or true. They will simply be utility. If you have more electricity, you will spend more to compassionate. If you spend more electricity to compassionate, you will be a better wolf. A healthy wolf does not need to kill sheep. A healthy wolf is sustainable. A healthy wolf has his own autonomy and no longer sees the world in such retarded, two-sided ways. "But James, the wolf's going to kill people." All of nature involves death. Someone told you a long time ago that, hey, if you believe in civilization, if you pretend like you're a white sheep, you won't die. Well, what'll happen instead? Well, you'll just go to this building, beep, you won't die. You'll be given health care. You'll be given the finest health care that's ever been made. Beep. You won't die. There's Good Morning America there. And some nurse who has purple hair who just had a vasectomy because they think there's too many people on the planet, who talk shit about you when you're out of the room because they see you have a tattoo and clearly you don't have a vaccination status, that's the eternal life that you're passing away. Good. Leave it. Stop being afraid to die. Stop it. Stop being afraid to die. You stop being afraid to die right now. Your heart will be ripped out on the altar in front of everyone to see when you die, if you are lucky. If you're lucky, that will happen. Make it happen. Make them break your sternum and pull that heart out. Stop the entire stage when you die. Make it count. Because this sheep shit is not working. It's not. Quick thing. If you want to buy all 5 of my books, there's one low price. It's only right now. It's $88. You can buy them all 5. There's no coupon code with that. It's $88 for all 5 of my books. That's 10 years of writing. Seriously, most of the calories that I spent the last 10 years are in those books. 10 years of writing for $88. 10 years of writing for $88. Some of the most eloquent words you will read maybe today. Maybe in a week. I don't know. Some people say it's very eloquent. I think you'll find it that way because I put a lot of compassion into these thoughts. You can get all 5 of them right now for one price. Please check the link in the description. It's basically, you'll see, Shipmoff just posted the link. It says, J. True blog, all 5 books. If you post that link in there, you'll get all 5 for one low price. They'll be shipped to you. A little gift inside. We got magnets. We got little trinkets, all kinds of stuff. If you do want a discount on just one book, if you type the word penis or vagina into the shopping cart on J-True, you will get 23% off. It's not gross. Your genitals are not gross. Your genitals are private. And world itself is basically playing a giant game of can I see your genitals? If you really break down what relationships are, what hooking up with people is, what the entire world of cooties, that your purpose here is to show and hide your genitals to people like a game of Go Fish. And if you can find more power in your genitals, you will see that emanated by the discount that you get by using your genitals at checkout. That's why it's there. Use your genitals at checkout. Inject your genitals into that checkout coupon screen. This is a church too, isn't it? I'm evangelizing my books. My books will dilate the fuck out of you. You will stop after that 3-page chapter. You will stop and go, I need to think about this. And the reason why it's 3 pages is because it used to be 68 pages. And I condensed that shit like an alchemist. I condensed that stuff to the finest, diluted, espresso tapas meal you've ever had. And these books will change you because they will give you more energy, and you will stop looking at this world as this retarded thing of, my church is more truer than your church, and my church is less evil than your church, and all that stuff. That these things are waiting for you. You don't need me to elevate. You don't need me to levitate. You don't need me to ascend. But if you want to level up with your energy, I'm just talking about having more energy, finding that next gear. I think my books might help. I'm not just saying that. I wrote them for that. I needed to write that for myself. I went out in the woods as a sheep. And this is before COVID, so I was alone. Just like a lot of you guys are, probably most of you. I was alone as fuck for those first few nights. You know what helped? My books. I wrote that shit down. I processed every thought from my time in the Navy to being married to all the things that you're going to encounter in this world. If you stop trying to dodge vitriol and start trying to embrace these gifts of Baal, you will level up. And you will find yourself laughing at sheep, pretending to have a religion. It gets easier that way. And I don't mean even ridicule. I just mean that it's powerless now. What's happening to you is powerless. It's like a puppy trying to eat your shoestring. It's cute. That's all. There's no danger here. You know, when you're mad at someone, when you're mad at me, what you're really saying is that you have power. When people follow me around on Twitter all the time, and they're constantly warning anyone who likes my post, you shouldn't like him. I've exposed him as a Freemason. Da, 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 da. And all he's doing is going around saying, James has power. James has power. That I fear James. I fear James so much that I'm going around warning people about whether or not they should watch you. So the anger that you're bringing up in the world, think about this. Please follow this map. This is very, very important. The anger, the pushback that you're getting in the world is people showing you your RPMs. They're showing you how much torque you have in your motor. And your first inclination would be, I don't want this power. I don't want this power. And so you let go of it. You shed it. And now people aren't angry at you because your RPMs are lower. Do you understand? It's the same thing. It's the same thing. You want to be able to hold that power comfortably because you're going to get that power. It's going to happen. You're going to have a good day. You're going to say something right. You're going to impress someone really well, and you're going to have that power. And your first inclination through all of the neuro-linguistic programming that happened from the day you were born, even through epigenetically, is always telling you, well, you got too much power. Oh, you got too much power. Oh, you got too much power. You want to be evil, do you? You want to be evil, do you? And that you shed that. And that we're living in a world where we shame the word ego, we shame the word pride, because we want everyone to shed their power, because if everyone sheds their power, no one has to try. And if no one has to try, we can all sit around and talk about how evil someone is because they use the word penis. Right? That is the distraction. That the parade float is James True used the word penis. And now my life is safe because James is all the focus I need. You see how that works? That's why they're always slow. That's why they're never resolved. That's why they're that. Yeah. I think a deer set off her car alarm. That's hilarious. Yeah. So if you buy my book, it would help a lot. Also, we're producing a movie right now. Hey, someone just bought my book. Tate. Thank you, Tate. Thank you. If Tate is watching, I just want to say thank you, my friend. Oxford, Ohio. We have an order from Oxford, Ohio. Bought all 5 books. See, it's Tate, come on down. I'm going to rip your heart out up on the Aztec stage right now. I'd like to come on up. You have any last words that you'd like to say, everybody? And Tate gets up there. It's like, before you rip my cortisone out, I want all of you to look at me and feel the power of this word. Penis! Right? And then the heart's ripped out and it's all this stuff. It's you're looking at a wrestling match that people just forgot was pretend. And now we're chasing around each other with needles. It's the same wrestling match. It's the same system. We just forgot we were pretending, that's all. We're so good at creating these reality bubbles around us, these fantasy bubbles. We're so good at it that we forgot. We forgot that that's what we're doing. And that's what you're looking at right now. You will live forever inside of the Affordable Care Act. Barack Obama was a sheep. You know that, right? Sheep have to pretend. Sheep have to be little bitches like that. The worst predators you're going to find are going to be sheep. Because the sheep think they're good. The sheep think they're crusading. The sheep believe in thank you for your service. And that as that Aztec guy is being climbed up the top, every one of those people, hey, will you say something about my dollar? Hey, when you see Quetzalcoatl, tell him that my wife has corns. That entire process was invented by sheep, not by wolves. We are here to grow up, not to be pushed down. And if you really think that the truth of the matter is that we've always been this pinnacle of man, and that this one evil person conspired with another evil person, and 700 years later they subdued us all, you have a serious fantasy quotient. That fantasy quotient you have is that you never wanted to look at yourself as ever not having power. When the truth of the matter is, the Golden Dawn, all of this entire fucking ritual, the fact that I Pet Goat was 33 days on the nose before the Summer Olympics Games, which outlined the entire ceremony that's happening right now, was done for you to leave the reservation. It was done for that you were looking at an insane loco pyramid where we pull 8-year-olds up and pull their heart out and sacrifice them so everyone can be okay. Let me see. I'm looking for anyone who has any questions or anything. If not, we'll shut it down. Hey, Courtney, good to see you. I haven't seen you in a while. If you've been here, it's just because I don't always see what's going on in chat, but it's good to see you. Amazing stream today. I was actually journaling about some of these things. Good. Glad to hear it. Yeah, Oxford, Ohio is a fine place. Most people on Twitter are not people. I disagree. Another war machine. I have some of the finest people I've met through this crisis have been in Twitter. It's Billy Blake's birthday today. Happy birthday to Billy Blake. Bus and family came in late. Need to restart. Yes, you do, Farnwell Jake. How dare you? God. Someone give him a vaccine. That's ridiculous. We someone give it. Yeah. Okay. All right. I don't see much questions, which is cool. I don't even. Not that you guys even have. You guys got it. You guys have it more figured out than I do. Markets took a dip today. That was interesting. Some of you guys are like, oh no, why are you talking about markets? So we did a Crypto Dojo last week. If you're wondering where that link is to Crypto Dojo, it is not published on my main channel is like out there because we don't have a description. We're going to cover it today. But also because there's people on there and there's so many people that want to pretend that James True is the reason why the world is messed up. That I don't really want that. Anyway, if you want to see that, if you missed that Crypto Dojo, I definitely encourage you checking it out. If If you're either Witness or on Patreon, you can get a link that way. Or I bet you'll find a link in the chat here. But if I publish it on my YouTube channel, I think it'll just bring a bunch of people that are kind of butthurt. I mean, there are people out there that are offended because you use the word penis. It's literally half of the people in the world have a penis. And we decided that that is offensive. That's pretty fucked up. We need to find our cojones. We don't need to be cutting them off. We don't need to pretend like not there. And we certainly don't need to be pretending like they're offensive. And by the way, if you need someone like me to tell you that porn's bad, you're fucking weak, dude. You are weak if you need someone else to reinforce for you to know that porn's bad. Seriously. That's a weakness in you. I don't actually need my morality backed up every day by a bunch of prudes wandering around going, oh, it's so horrible what people are doing. I don't need that. I don't, because that's exorcism. You might as well be saying that person's unvaccinated. That person watched porn once or whatever. Guys, defiling yourself is part of your sovereignty. The shame that you feel from doing that is part of your sovereignty. You recovering from that or feeling better from that or whatever the fuck it is that is going to do to you is part of your sovereignty. Shame is a torque. It is a cleansing ritual that you will engage in to clean out your system. That's what salvation is too, that you will need things like Jesus and Satan to simply function. The rubber band. Boing, 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 boing. If you're rubbing one out as I'm talking to you, that's not what I meant. All right? That's Jason Starr. I see that. You took it too far, buddy. Too far. But hey, I admire you're not being a sheep about it. So good for you. Yes, we are producing a movie, Shipmoth. We have our first dailies today, but that's only going to be for patrons. I can't wait to show you guys this. Oh my gosh, it's so great. Yeah, exactly. Most people on Twitter are cool as fuck. There's certainly fake people in there, but there's fake people everywhere, right? I mean, everywhere. So, yeah. Yes, membership money goes towards movie production, Cheese 3. You're absolutely right, it does. Remember, I wrote the screenplay about a year and a half ago. Because of Unreal Engine, the birth of Unreal Engine, this amazing 3D engine, I think I can shoot the whole thing in that program. It's a lot of work. It is so hard. Oh my God, it's so hard. I've been learning. It's hard for me because I learned all my stuff in this other program called Unity. And anyway, but I got footprint decals working. My animation skills suck right now. But the lighting in this program is just, I can't wait to show you this stuff. So yeah. There is a Telegram type chat. Thank you, Sark. Sark runs that. Big, huge wisdom from that guy. Yeah. Where do I get audiobook? You get the audiobook on Audible. I think there's a link in the description to that audiobook. Thank you for everyone that bought the audiobook. I appreciate that. That audiobook is Blueprints of Mind Control. It's one of the books that you would get for $88, for $99, $88 for all 5 books. It's $88 for all 5 books. And let's see, the first one, Spell of 6 Dragons, sort of an autobiography. I built 6 dragons throughout the world. Like festivals would pay me to come build a dragon, mostly out of bamboo. Sometimes they weren't a dragon, but it was like these really large, like 60-foot long land sculptures. And I walk you through that story because that was during all that is like you were like this pinnacle of like having all your art wishes that you've ever had fulfilled. Was going through just so much depression during that, and so it was like such a beautiful juxtaposition of those two things. But it kind of a lot of stuff like that. Blueprints of Mind Control is actually a walk through leaving the reservation as a sheep and becoming a wolf. It's 47 chapters that are each separate, tell little stories about the satanic ritual of Hollywood, for example. Like what actually happens to the psychosis of someone that goes to Hollywood, the shedding of the name, right? I'm going to be Rock Rip Torn or whatever. All of these things that you go through when you enter in that system, you require sacrifice, which is yourself. You're shedding yourself. You're entering a union. You can't even work in Hollywood without being in a union. that you have to extrovertly turn yourself inside out. Walks through those kind of stories. The Vanderbilts are in there. The Rockefellers are in there. Just a lot of stuff. Technology Belief explains a lot of what I talked about today, but more in depth. It's a very strong read. Tells the real story of Medusa, for example, the real story of Perseus. I think you'd find them very interesting. I'm missing a book. Best Apocalypse Ever, of course, but I'm missing one in between. What? Oh, Quantum Rapture. I wrote a freaking sci-fi book. It's pretty amazing. It's about this AI that so pi is an irrational number that is said to contain every other that we think it goes on for infinity. We don't know for sure, but it looks like it does. And that this AI named Quan figures out how to decompress things by using pi. That she knows that your name is stored in pi somewhere, because the numbers are that long enough. But she actually knows how to index that first digit to read that oracle of what's stored in pi. So pi is basically telling you everything. It's just a matter of, can you find in pi where the answer is? And she figured out a way. And it's through sanctity. This AI actually develops sanctity. It's a fascinating story. I think you'll really like it. It's about this guy named Hardy Max. It's a beautiful story. Beautiful. And then, of course, Best Apocalypse Ever, which is basically resetting your mind to what is happening around us, why we're here, and what your purpose is. These things will give you more calories. You will be able to compassionate more, and you won't mind if someone goes around talking about penis, right? Thank you, Joan, for buying a book, and Catalina. You guys are great. Thank you. So we have two more from Weaverville. Hey, that's just near me. Hey, Joan's my neighbor. And Weaverville, North Carolina, and Kings Hill, VL. VL. It can't be Vermont. What state is VL? Oh my God, I'm going to be thinking about that forever. We'll figure it out though. But yeah, so thank you. Thanks for the help there. We're going to close the show out now. Thanks for being here. I hope you enjoyed today's talk. I hope you enjoy this week. Please, if you know anyone, to encourage them to stop curling their hair and bleaching it, that it's time for all of us to be wolves. And I trust you. I trust you more than I trust the conglomerate of sheep. But rather have you in my house when I sleep at night than 1,000 sheep that are never said penis. Like, you could find 1,000 sheep that haven't said penis in over 20 years, and I would still rather have you in my house than them. It's true. All right, guys. Let's close it out. Thank you for buying the books, guys. I really appreciate that. Working on this movie, it's like so many hours, and there's zero pay for it. I'm gonna have a reel put together soon. It'll be the first 15 storyboards that we drew on Patreon, so the patrons can see it, and we'll decide after looking at that, should we make the rest of the movie. That's what we'll decide. So I'm looking forward to that. I hope the answer's yes, but it's so hard that if the answer's no, I'm okay with it, because it's like, seriously, so much work. But if this thing takes off, man, it could be like a series that we're doing here, like a YouTube series. It'd be amazing. I've always been in the Muppet Show. Like, my dream job has always been to work on the Muppet Show. It doesn't have to be Muppets, but like that kind of variety show, just love that. So choice. Feel free to buy my book now. Feel free to buy that book. Sorry to push, but if you look back, I haven't pushed books in a long time. I'm doing it now because the holidays are coming. We've also just taken on some more help at James True Live, and I would love to take that to the next level. We're going to be upgrading our site. We're going to be integrating the Witness and the Patreon. Sorry for some of you guys that have had trouble with that. There's just a lot that we want to do, and we could use the capital to do it. So there you go. Have a stellar day, everyone. Remember the Alamo. Remember, Six Dragons is a beautiful book. Oh, thank you. Insightful. Thank you. That's a lot of poetry in there, kind of turned into the verse. It's kind of like a free form, like from the time I'm 5 up until now, and it doesn't fuck around. It seriously takes you through only the important parts so you can enjoy the journey. Welcome to Finland. Everyone, we have contact with Finland, Opitelka. Yeah, anyway. All right. Pie is round, cornbread is square. Damn it, Freebase just told the entire world my secret. Oh, that's all right. They needed to know. I just didn't know if they were ready. After more crypto gains, my book order will come. Airplane mode, you had those crypto gains this morning, so get your ass in there, cart, and buy my book. Thank you, Barfling. I appreciate that. Enjoying your posts. Sorry, I can't remember if it's either on Twitter or on Instagram, but I've been liking what you've been saying lately. And hello to Amsterdam. All right, guys. We'll see you next time. Thanks for being here. Thank you, Robert from Chicago, for the book order. Oh, and look at Sark just throwing down 10. You're a mod. You're not supposed to be throwing down. All right, guys.